with this kind of work, I'm trying to be really honest with what gets me excited. And like a child, I was excited simply by lasers, just because they're beautiful.
So typically in galleries, when we see a laser, it's always associated with movement and music.
Right.
You have neither of those.
Right.
Purposely.
Yeah, this is another topic that I like to read about, think about is spectacle. And especially in Guy Debord, that wrote a lot about that. And like what you just said, you'd go to a rock concert or an EDM thing and the lasers are going crazy, and that spectacle or that mesmerizing of the audience, I think it's really interesting to stop it.
Right.
So that it makes you not only that you can engage with it, but you can think about, well, the perception, what is this material doing to manipulate my perception? How is that used in art and technology? How is it used in advertising, etc.?
So you're really freezing that spectacle.
Yeah. I kind of like calling it framing a spectacle. But the shape here is really coming from the room, from the site. So wherever I do these, it's more like a, I don't know, like plumbing the space with the light.
So the room is really determining the nature of the piece.
Yeah. So it's more like blessing the space or anointing it with
So
geometry.
you divided the room in half.
Yep.
So the room is 30 by 60.
Yep.
The public enters at 30 feet.
Right.
And then they become active participants in the room.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yep.
But then the perceiver, the person walking through this, they engage in this spectacle on 3 dimensions. And typically, one is not allowed to walk into a group of lasers like this.
Yes.
But in your case, the lasers are so low wattage, you can do that.
Yes. Yeah, it's part of it is that you can not only think about that idea of the spectacle, but physically and walk inside of it. It has this, definitely a physical, feels like you're hitting something.
And the nice thing about lasers is that the light remains the same from the source to the end, and it's consistent.
Yep.
Yeah. That's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's looking good. The floor
You must
looks
be really
amazing.
happy with it.
Yeah, I'm super happy.
Yeah.
I haven't looked, this is the first time I'm looking at it, actually. So it looks good.
A lot of selfies
I know.
going to happen in here.
Yeah, that's I'm fully engaging in the spectacle.
So what's going on here? Tell us about your room here.
Yeah, this room is, it's like a gift shop, and we decided to call it gift shop. But, when I was a kid in Cleveland, I would go to the mall, and there was Spencer's gift shop. So like, that was one of my favorite places to go to. And they had this room, at least the one in Cleveland at the mall, they literally had a velvet curtain, and you could open it up and go in the back, and it was like a little installation. It had blacklight posters and lava lamps and holograms and weird, stuff.
How old were you?
Between like 5 and 12.
Well, must
And
have impressionable.
Very.
So this room is really autobiographical in a sense.
Yeah. It's something I've also wanted in a real show, like a museum show, is that you have a gift shop.
Right.
And that someday I'd like to do that, where the gift shop, if I had a show with stuff for sale, is kind of also like Spencer's Gifts. And even maybe have some found things, but design everything, like say t-shirts and post, the whole thing. So this is a first whack at that kind of idea.
So can you talk us a little bit about that piece here? What's the medium?
That is oil pastel.
Yeah, and there's a black light shining on it horizontally.
Yeah, there's the black light it's like the Dan Flavin corner pieces.
It's a gorgeous piece, pictorially.
Yeah, it came out nice. And I left all the particles on the floor on purpose. It's when you look at the texture, it's very, very loose and falling apart and a mess. But the geometry is really strict.
Right.
So it kind of holds together that the mess. This is a ripple tank. Essentially, this is how a hologram is made. This is it's called an interference pattern, but with light. This is water. That's oil pastel. That's light, and they're all the same manipulation of waves, wave patterns. So to me, it's kind of like magic. It's like a core magic of my process.
I believe this piece over here is like a technical tour de force, which it's actually a hologram of a tambourine. And can you tell us about the technique of this piece?
Yes, this is called a Denisyuk hologram. It's a Russian technique. All I simply did is just take this plate of glass that is coated in England. I just take the piece of glass and lay it on top of those prongs that you see there. And then laser light hits it. It creates a wave pattern, and the wave energy is recording on the emulsion. And that's it. And then it's processed a little bit like a photograph.
Isn't it hard to manipulate to achieve that?
Extremely.
Is that the skill?
Yeah, everything. Part of it is that nothing can move microscopically down to a quarter of a wavelength of light, which is really small depending on the light you use. The one next to it shows what happens when something does move. So that's my hand, and you see that even the heat from my hand is canceling the light. So that was made the weekend after David Bowie died, and I made a series of holograms of my hand where, because I'm moving and because I'm alive, it's killing the light, it's destroying the image. And metaphorically, my being alive is killing light. So a lot of my work has to do with light. So it's called destructive interference. This group of holograms, they're called Orders of Light, and if I was explaining this to you yesterday, is if you have seen a rainbow before on a really clear day, sometimes you see a second rainbow, like two of them. That, if it was really clear, you'd see a third one, and a fourth one, and a fifth one. It just keeps going
Repeating
infinity,
itself.
but you just can't see them. That's basically what's happening here, is that the waves of light are being stretched. That it's just an image of the light bulb up there.
Repeating to infinity.
Yeah, it's repeating. If this hologram was really wide, you'd see it start fading out. There are more holograms. These are I did with my son. This was the first time he made holograms. This is his first hologram ever, actually. And it's all just things we found around Red Hook in the neighborhood. And it's sort of like a narrative of as if you were going out at night and partying really hard. And so there's some crack, there's a blunt wrapper, booze, some Visine, if you have a headache, all that stuff.
It's party night.
Yeah, party night.
Yeah.
I like the idea of destroying video. That's another thing that I find weird in art is when you go to a museum and you see a video installation that they call a video installation, and it's just a really big video on the wall. And I don't see, well, why not have chairs? Why isn't it a theater? So in the art world, they try to turn a big video into a sculpture, but all it is a big video. With the video work all the video work I do, it's heavily manipulated. So it's totally dependent on actually the scale of it and the site, and it doesn't work unless it's, so it becomes more like sculpture.
Does everybody see the same colors?
Yes.
Or is it individually dependent?
No, most people all see the same thing.
Okay.
It's because of the structure of your retina.
The adjustment of the eye is that you start to lose the flicker and everything slows down to a perceptible level. Yeah, that's what happens.
And the color you're seeing it's this thing called the Purkinje effect, which in your your eye and your retina, it's after image. So if you flash a light, there's a chemical released in your retina.
Yeah.
And that takes a little time to fade. So when you start repeating at certain rates, especially 11 frames per second, around there, it really starts to amplify the color.
And there's going to be an after image after we walk away, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, sometimes it could last like half an hour. And then the sound is completely synced. So there's I worked with a guy in the Netherlands, and it's a sine wave, a group of sine waves overlapping that are just going down like the same as the video. It's slowing down. And that combination with the strobing, when it starts out, the frequency, the fast frequency, that's waking state. And if you really sit here and kind of do the whole thing, it's meant to slow your electrical current in your brain down. It's very, very sort of meditative, what's called an alpha state. So that's the program. So there's footage. I just gave the camera to my son, and he's crawling through that cave. And that's a cave in a town called Zugarramurdi, and it's where the Basque witch trials were held. So he's crawling, that's him right there.
Oh, I see, I see, yeah.
And so it's sort of like he's birthing, he's going through a birth canal. And then the water, that's my hand, and that's in Juniper Springs in Florida. That was about a month ago. More water. And then the other stream that you see was shot by my wife, Benedict, and that's this place of water called the Waters from Hell, that's coming out of the cave.
How important is it for you, for people to understand this?
Zero. It's all for my own pleasure. But no, I'm glad we're talking about this, because all of it does have to me, this whole show is about family, about my son going to college, and that it's sort of like a charm or a gift or a spell that's supposed to have good vibes to it.